What's up, everybody? Well, it's time for AEW pay-per-view. You know, we only get these every quarter, and the moment is here. So Steve and I are going to go double or nothing and give you your thoughts and predictions on the show and how we think everything's going to go. At the end, we'll go over what we think is going to be the best match and what we think will be the biggest surprise of the pay-per-view. So make sure you tune all the way through the video, and let's go over the card, Steven. So what's the first match you want to go over?
I think we should start off with the AEW tag team titles. We got the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, defending the tag team titles against the team of Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. So I figure what we can do is, I'll go first on the prediction for this one. We'll alternate, so one of us can go first on each one. That way we kind of be fair and even it out. So as far, I'll start this one off and say, I think this will be a really good match. I think that it probably makes sense to keep the belts on the Young Bucks, but and Eddie Kingston, I think, is the most likely to take the pinfall or submission in this one. Keep Moxley as protected as possible. Right. But I think it could be, we're talking surprises and stuff. This is a moment where, if Nick Gage showed up and confronted Jon Moxley at some point, this would probably be the time to do it. So I'm going to throw that out there too. But my official prediction is the Young Bucks to retain. What about you?
Yeah, I think the Young Bucks are going to win. The only thing with the Nick Gage thing is it seems like Tony Khan doesn't have much of a problem of guys going to other shows, but guys coming to his show, it's a little bit different. I would love it. I think it definitely adds that forbidden door element, but I'm not so sure that's where they would go. But I think that would be a very cool pay-per-view moment and set up a match for them later. But yeah, I think the Bucks are going to win. And when you think of Kingston and Moxley, you're not necessarily thinking of the best in-ring workers. I mean, Moxley's definitely better than Kingston in my opinion, but the Bucks always find a way to deliver these great matches on pay-per-view. And I think this match is going to be way better than people think. This will probably be one of the top matches of the pay-per-view, but I do think the Bucks will retain. The story of them being the heel champions seems like that's something that they could go with for a long time. So I'm going to go with the Bucks winning as well.
Nice. So we're in agreement there. We both got the Young Bucks. Next match we'll go to, this is an interesting one. We have Miro defending, Miro or Dante Martin technically, because I think Dante's got a title match on Friday, I think, for the TNT title.
I think Miro's going to win, but I'm just going to take a wild guess there.
Right. So we're assuming it'll be Miro defending the TNT championship against Lance Archer, who will have Jake the Snake Roberts in his corner. Who do you think wins this one and why, Doug?
I think Miro's going to win. But it's interesting how they booked this because Lance Archer is still booked pretty strong, and I just don't see Miro just going through him in 10 minutes and getting a clean finish. So I'm not really sure what they're going to do. And I feel like they've totally changed direction on this feud because at first, after the pay-per-view, it was Lance Archer and Sting. And then Lance Archer was coming to help out Sting. And now he's facing Miro after Miro beats Darby Allin. So it's just been kind of weird how they've booked this, and I feel like it's kind of thrown together. But in the end, I think that you don't have Miro beat Darby and end his title reign for him to just lose on the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, I feel the same exact way that you do about that. The only knock that I have on Lance Archer at all, and it's not his fault at all, is he seems like they keep him very protected, but then he loses a lot of these big matches, the ones that really matter the most. And if it was up to me, I think Lance Archer is substantially more talented than Miro is, all the way around. If I had to choose one or the other, I'd put the title on Archer over Miro, no question. But because of everything you mentioned, and because, Miro, I will say Miro and Darby, they had a damn good match when Miro won the title. But to be fair, like, Darby's doing that with everybody, and Miro, that's pretty much, Miro, the Arcade Anarchy match was really good too, but there was like a lot of things involved with that, but
spots and stuff.
Yeah. But that all being said, I'm definitely going with Miro as well.
Well, and the thing is too, can Miro have that type of really good match with someone that's as big or bigger than him? Like, a lot of what made it work was he was a monster going after the undersized baby face. You know what I mean? And so to face this monstrous guy, I feel like this match is not going to be very good, and it's going to more expose Miro for what he really is. I feel like if he can go out there and really deliver, though, it really helps him, and it makes him look like a legit champion. So I think this is a big match for Miro. I think he's going to win, but I think he needs to go out there and deliver.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. After that, we got a tag team match that I'm really looking forward to. We got Sting and Darby Allin taking on Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. This is Sting's return to like a live in-ring match. We obviously saw him teaming with Darby against Team Taz in that cinematic match that they did, but this is going to be like in front of the crowd, live in the ring. I've said it 1,000 times. As long as Sting can go out there, throw some punches and some kicks, do the Scorpion Death Drop, do the Scorpion Death Lock, do the Stinger Splash. As long as he can do those things, I am all for this. I think Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page are a great team to have out there too, because they're going to make these guys look like $1 million. Darby's going to bump his ass off out there, and Sting is going to, and I think Scorpio and Ethan are going to make Sting look really, really good for the things that Sting needs to do. And I have to also imagine Sting and Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page are probably just going to be like, in their head, they're just going to be marking out probably like, I can't believe I'm wrestling Sting right now. This is
especially
insane.
Ethan Page.
Right, which I just think is incredible. So my prediction, of course, is going to be Sting and Darby Allin. I think a lot can be done for Scorpio and Ethan if they were to win here, but I feel like it's just a no-brainer. Everything considered, and Sting returning to the ring, and Darby's still, according to Brian Alvarez, apparently Darby Allin is like their top ratings draw right now, like on a consistent level for AEW. Like the ratings spike for Darby, people stay when he's the main event, they stay throughout the whole show. Like, they really have something here with Darby Allin, and I think Sting only helps all that out. So I am once again taking Sting and Darby. What about you?
I think Sting and Darby are going to win as well. I do think, though, and we haven't really mentioned this, but the crowds are back, and this is going to be the biggest crowd that the AEW has had since the pandemic. So Sting is never like felt that feeling from the AEW crowd like he will on Sunday. So I feel like that could be a big part of it, and this could be a match that the crowd could be really involved in. I do feel like Darby needs to do most of the work, though. I feel like Sting needs to be the hot tag guy. You know what I mean? But at the end, I do think Sting and Darby will win this, and I don't really know what's next after that.
A question to piggyback off of that: does Sting wear a T-shirt or not during the match?
Sting is definitely wearing a T-shirt.
Okay, so we got Sting in
the days of remotely ripped Sting are over. He's 60, right? So like I think the T-shirt's coming.
Yeah, I think it's like 62. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
about that,
so that's T-shirt territory.
And I don't mean 60 also. I mean like 6'2", by the way.
Plus, he's not really going to be out there and work really hard. So I just don't see the need for him to do this. This is TNA Impact effort here that's coming, in my opinion.
Okay.
But that's all that you need. So
yeah. And luckily he's got a pretty cool shirt with like his face with the baseball bats and whatever. Like they can get away with it. So
maybe we get a sleeveless shirt. I doubt it, but
Maybe he finally shaves his head because of the giant bald spot and just embraces it. Paints his entire head. That'd be pretty cool if he painted the whole top of his head too. Anyways, yeah, we both have Sting and Darby, but I think it'll be better than what people expect it to be.
I agree.
After that, we got the Stadium Stampede match where the Pinnacle, the team of MJF, Wardlow, Shawn Spears, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Harwood, along with Tully Blanchard, take on the Inner Circle, the team of Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz. Doug, the only other Stadium Stampede we've seen was, I guess, last year. And that was all pre-taped. From what I'm hearing, I think there's going to be taped and live elements of this one. So,
which is just really weird.
Very weird.
It makes me nervous that this could be that gimmick match that doesn't go as well as planned and makes them look a little goofy. This is the one that has me nervous of the pay-per-view. And I think it's really hard to top the first one. So, like, if you're going to do it and you're going to add live elements, and I don't know. At the end, I think the Inner Circle is going to lose. I think they're going to break up permanently. I think Jericho's going away. It looks like his band is back to touring. So I think you'll see him go for a little bit, and the Pinnacle will kind of become that new top faction. But I do think that the Inner Circle is going to lose. I also expect Sammy to take an insane bump. Like, he tried to talk Tony Khan to jump off the stadium last year. So Sammy's one of those guys, and I feel like he wants to play top that. And that bump he took last year was insane, and I feel like that he's going to want to do something similar, maybe in front of a crowd. So keep an eye out for that. That could be a big pay-per-view moment.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I got the Pinnacle as well for the same reasons. I think Jericho will leave for a while. I think he'll come back as, a full-fledged babyface, and they'll do another Jericho MJF one-on-one at some point when he comes back. Who knows? But for now, the Pinnacle needs to look strong. They need to continue to keep getting MJF over the most that they can, in my opinion. Like, just continue to build him and build around him. And yeah, I think that the Pinnacle needs to win this one. And like you mentioned, and I forgot to mention when I was introing the match, if the Inner Circle loses, they do need to disband as a part of the stipulation. So this is a perfect way for the Inner Circle to. I mean, it's time. It's just time for them all to do their own things, and it's time for Sammy Guevara, I think, to really shine as a singles wrestler too. So
I agree.
After that, speaking of two guys trying to shine as singles wrestlers, we got Adam Hangman Page versus Brian Cage with Taz. What do you think about this one? Oh, actually, this one's mine.
This one's yours.
I'm gonna go. This is interesting because Brian Cage beat Hangman on Dynamite a couple weeks ago. It was a clean win, but he did beat him up a little bit before the bell rang. But for all intents and purposes, clean victory for Brian Cage. A lot of people were really surprised about that, but I think that was only to make this win look a little bit better for Hangman because he's going to go through a little adversity to get to it. I think he gets the job done, and I think Adam Hangman Page defeats Brian Cage, and I think it's because Taz winds up maybe accidentally causing Brian Cage the match, something.
Okay.
I think by the end of this match, this whole segment for the show, Brian Cage has either officially left Team Taz or they have completely planted the seeds for him to leave Team Taz on Dynamite. So
gotcha.
That's where I'm going with here. Hangman gets that win back for Brian Cage. He reestablishes himself as back one of the top 5 guys in the company in the rankings, and this leads to Brian Cage leaving Team Taz. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty good. I don't see Adam Page losing this, and if he does, I'm kind of pissed off about it. Like, you put a lot of time and built him up, and to have him lose to Brian Cage twice, I just think that would be the wrong move. So I'm going with Adam Page as well, and crowds are back. Get ready for cowboy shit. Get ready for that push that he had. I think they're going to set up him and Kenny, and I think that this is the start of all that. This is the restart of the momentum that Adam Page had. And I like the story that could be told. And I just think that that's the right direction. Plus, we've already have seen stuff from Brian Cage where he's kind of hinting at moving away from Team Taz. If they decide to stay with Team Taz, I feel like him and Christian still isn't done. So if no interference, nothing like that, then I think you're going to get Brian Cage and Christian in the future.
I think all that makes a lot of sense. And I think that with like Brian Cage and Team Taz, the good thing for Team Taz, well, for everyone involved really, is they have it set up already to where if Brian Cage was to get kicked out of the group or leave the group or whatever, depending on how ready Powerhouse Hobbs is, like they kind of have like, you know what I mean? They got it kind of set up to where Hobbs can kind of take that role. You've got Hook still kind of developing as well. Ricky Starks, whenever, you know, he's back from injury, like he's in that mix. So they have options within Team Taz and they can add new members and stuff. So,
yep.
And
there's always Hook. Whenever Hook decides to make his amazing debut.
Yes, exactly. He has maybe the worst kicks I've ever seen in wrestling, but it's like a meme at this point, right? Like everyone's like Hook's the greatest.
Yep.
But I do want to see him. I mean, he does throw some good suplexes I have seen, so we'll see. Moving on, we have the Casino Battle Royale. This is for a future AEW World Championship match. The competitors that we have in this one include Christian Cage, Matt Sydal, Powerhouse Hobbs, Pentagon, Jungle Boy, Matt Hardy, Mark Quinn, Isaiah Cassidy, The Blade, Evil Uno, Colt Cabana, 10, Preston Vance, Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr., Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, QT Marshall, Nick Camarado, Dustin Rhodes, Shotty Lee Johnson, and there's going to be a surprise to be announced entrant. The funny thing here is I probably didn't have to go past the first name that I read, and but Doug, who do you think is going to win the Casino Battle Royal?
I'm going to go with Christian Cage, and the reason I go with Christian Cage is it allows you to do him and Kenny Omega without a ton of buildup, without a ton of reason. Like they had that moment when he first debuted, and they never really did anything with it. And now that he would have a guaranteed title shot, you could do that on one of the big Dynamites, you know, like the TNT type Saturday night main event specials. I think you could do that. I think you could do it for the next pay-per-view if you wanted to, but I think it's more likely that's going to be on like a big Dynamite. If it wasn't Christian Cage, two of the up-and-coming people that I could see that could possibly win is Jungle Boy or Max Caster. One of those two that I think if they had that title shot in their back pocket or whatever, it could kind of give you an idea that like, oh, these are kind of future stars.
Yeah, I like all that as well. I'm going to take Christian Cage too. I'm very high on Max Caster also, as well as Jungle Boy. So it'd be cool to see one of them get the win. But yeah, I mean, I think Christian just makes too much sense, especially because they've heavily teased him and Omega since the day that Christian signed. And in all honesty, I'd like to really see Christian in Impact, if I'm being completely honest. Like I want to see him over there doing some stuff.
Isn't he against that? Like he's the one that doesn't want to go there?
I mean, it's possible. I really don't know, but it's one of those things where I think Christian versus Kenny, if and when it happens, will be a really good match. And then I hate to be brutally honest about this, but then I think Christian just gets completely lost in the mix. So
yeah, I'm with you.
So we'll see. But I think
he's a fighter though, man. He kind of always digs himself out of holes. So like, and there's just like a young talent that you've never seen him wrestle. You know, like I would be totally down with like a Christian Pentagon feud or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, sure. I think that there's definitely like worse old veterans.
Oh yeah.
Like if they break up the Inner Circle, what the hell is Swagger going to do? You know what I mean? Like there's definitely guys that I think are a lot harder to find spots and things for them to do. I think you can always find something for Christian to do. But like as a title contender, I think that's a wrap.
Right. Yeah, I feel the same way. After that, we have, this is a very interesting one. We have Cody Rhodes, the American Dream Cody Rhodes, wrestling Anthony Ogogo, who will be with QT Marshall, Nick Comoroto, and Aaron Solo. My prediction for this one, like, I have to go with Cody. I know that they're building Ogogo. I get it. I probably should pick Ogogo. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I mean, it's just, Cody's the kind of guy that I think would put Ogogo over. I do. But it's also, love him, hate him, whatever you feel about Cody at the moment. Like, he is one of their top 5 biggest stars in the company. He's probably, name value wise, he's probably the top, or like in the top 3, like him, Jericho, Moxley, maybe, or as far as like name value in the company. It's one of those things where it's like, he still is Cody Rhodes, and like, for him to lose to this guy, it's a lot of unknowns with Anthony Ogogo, but it also would be a great way to make a new star. But and it's also confusing too, because depending on how you look at this feud, either Cody is like the super over baby face doing this for America, or he's a jerk heel who's like a xenophobe almost. You know what I mean? So it's like, half the people love Cody because of what he's doing, half the people hate Cody because of what he's doing. Half the people want to go to kick Cody's ass, half the people want to see Ogogo get his ass kicked. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how the crowd responds to all this. But once again, I got to go Cody for my prediction. What about you?
I think Ogogo is going to win. The only thing that makes me think he might not is because this is a one-time only, the American Dream. Like, they're building that up, and I just don't see Cody losing by doing that. Like, a tribute to the American Dream and lose. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But the way Ogogo is, I feel like he's going to hurt Cody with, like, vicious body shots, and Cody's leaving. Like, Brandy's pregnant, and I think that that's the way you're going to write Cody off TV for a while. But I'm extremely nervous for Ogogo. Like, he got blasted in Dynamite. Face was swollen, nose was busted, and it's because he can't see. So I don't know how him and Cody are going to pull this off. I'm not expecting a good match. I'm really not. So if it is a good match, then I'll be happy and impressed and all that. But I feel like this is more of just like a story that they're telling of America versus the UK type thing. But this one's a mystery. But I'm going to go with the Go-Go.
Okay. Well, there you go. There you go. I think that if they are going to play it like that, though, it needs to be like, Cody's got to be like spitting blood or something. You got to make it brutal. Yeah. Like, this dude
I agree.
works the body to the point where he is, just it's got to be graphic.
And we all know Cody loves blood, and if he's going to be the American Dream, I think he's going to blade. So
yeah, for sure, we're on the same page. I have Cody, you have Ogogo, but I think we both could see it going way. Right, exactly. Up next, we have the AEW Women's Championship match. Hikaru Shida defending the championship against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, who will have Rebel by her side as always. Shida defending the title against Britt Baker, man. Do you think this is finally the moment where Britt gets that belt?
I do. It's time. DMD. And going to crowds, her being champion, I just think it's going to be just a lot more people will be invested into the women's division. And I think Britt will do that. So I think it's the right move. She just had a really long title reign, and I think it's Britt's time. I think Britt's going to win.
I feel the same way. If not now, when? It's like this.
And that's one of those things too, where like if you wait too long, then people are just going to lose interest. So like you got to strike while the iron's hot.
Yes, yeah, I couldn't agree more there. I remember a couple years back when like Brian Cage, I think it was Brian Cage, like had title shot after title shot against Johnny Impact on Impact Wrestling, and like by the time he finally won the title, it was like we've already seen this like 10 times, and like now he won, and then like they took the belt right off him, and it was just like, yeah. So I feel the same way. And Britt Baker, and let's be fair, right? Like Britt Baker checks all the boxes you want out of your women's champion for AEW. She's great on the microphone. She has a great character. She's over with the crowd. She's, great in the ring. I mean, everything. She looks great, very credible. Yep. I mean, it's just like, and she's
not only that, like as an AEW fan, we've seen the growth of Britt. Yeah. Like Britt has gotten so much better, and like everybody notices it. And I just think that it's her time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I got Britt Baker as well.
And I think at the Fan Fest, she's getting her action figure.
I hope so.
I think they're going to show it.
I think you're right. Jeremy Padour of Jazzwares has definitely been teasing some stuff. So
yeah,
that'd be cool. She deserves it for sure. So,
yep.
All right. Last thing we got here, the main event of the show. Kenny Omega defending the AEW World Championship. He'll have Don Callis in his corner against Orange Cassidy and Pac in a triple threat match. As far as a prediction, like it's a pretty easy one to predict, like because I don't think Kenny's losing. So I got Kenny Omega. I think this will be a really good match. I really hope that Orange Cassidy is not too injured to wrestle. Like that was really scary seeing him. All I could think about was D'Lo Brown and draws. The way that he landed on that power bomb and neck first, scary stuff. But assuming that Orange Cassidy is good to go, I think this will be a great triple threat. Pac, if it was just Pac versus Kenny, it's a little underwhelming because like we've had that match before and stuff, and this is Double or Nothing. I think it needs to be bigger than that. So so I hope that even if Pac in Orange if Orange isn't able to go for some reason, like hopefully they have someone else in mind as like a surprise or something. But but I mean, I think it's a pretty obvious call. I got to go Kenny Omega to retain the title. What about you?
And I feel like also if worse came to worse, the winner of the Casino Battle Royal could step in that night and be part of the triple threat if they wanted to do that.
That's a great option. That's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that isn't Kenny Omega winning is a disaster. I don't see there. You've put way too much time into him being the champion, into him having all the belts, and like to him lose, and like you're setting up him and Moose, and then it's like let's say Orange Cassidy wins. Are we really going to get Orange Cassidy versus Moose? Like I think Kenny's going to win. At the end of the day, I think Kenny's going to win. So I think it's going to be a good match, though. I think people are, don't sleep on Orange Cassidy, especially with Pac in there. Like, we've already seen Pac and Kenny kill it. And the crowd is going to be hot, man. They're going to be big time behind Orange Cassidy.
We've seen Orange Cassidy and Pac one-on-one good matches, too. Like, yeah.
Right. So, like, I think the crowd is really going to be into that match. And that's kind of like kickstart everything, right? Like once that happens, Kenny wins. I think honestly, Kenny's title reign has kind of been on hold. They haven't used him as much. He goes to Impact and stuff like that. But I think once they're on the road, I think Kenny is about to really step it up. So.
Yeah, so we both got Kenny Omega in the main event. That's
so overall, what are you expecting is the best match?
Honestly, I know this is going to sound insane, but the one I'm honestly probably looking forward to the most, and I think that it's going to be way better than people think on paper. I'm really looking forward to Darby Allin and Sting for Scorpio and Ethan.
I knew you were going to say that.
Dude, Darby and Sting versus Team Taz match was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's going to be a different type of thing, but you also got to take into account the fans. If Sting goes in there and starts just getting this, I think people are going to be losing their minds. Like, I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a way better match and moment than people think. But I'll also say this: if not that match, it's still one that I think people wouldn't say. I'd probably go Young Bucks versus Mox in Kingston as my other option. So I think there's two very, very, very strong tag team matches on this show. So
yeah, no, I agree with that. In my opinion, it's either going to be the Bucks and Moxley and Kingston or the main event. Like, I do think sleeper-wise, Adam Page and Brian Cage could be extremely good as well. So those are probably my matches to look out for the most. Even Britt Baker and Shida might be really good as well. So
these are all really good matchups.
There's not really a bad match on the card. Like Miro and Lance Archer is probably the one that I would consider the most that could be rotten. But otherwise, I think it's really good.
Yeah.
So
also, then, well, I'm going to say also partly for me too is I'm having friends over for the show, and like and most of them don't really watch AEW. Like they just, but they're going to be marking out for Sting too. So like the environment is going to be like old wrestling fans that haven't really been watching it, but like they're going to be into it for Sting. So like that's also part of where my head's at is like I know that me and my friends are going to be having a good time watching that. So
yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll be good. So what do you think could possibly be like a big surprise?
I mean,
it doesn't have to be crazy, but just like even a match that you think could be possibly predictable, but it actually isn't, or anything.
I mean, I'm just going to say it because someone has to, and you probably would have if I didn't, but like, if Bryan Danielson shows up at this thing, like that's that's like the biggest thing that can happen. So
that's me running out in the neighborhood screaming the top of my lungs, like that's home run. Like,
yeah.
But realistically, I don't think that's gonna happen.
I'd like a realistic one that I'd like to see, even though it almost seems unrealistic because of the relationship at this point, but like I would love to see Moose show up. Like you're building him and Kenny, like you mentioned, and I'm a very, very, very big fan of Moose right now. Like I think he's killing it. I think he's killing it at Impact, and for him to show up and he's getting way better in the ring, way better on the mic. Yep. Like really the total package, Lex Luger. But if he showed up and confronted Kenny, that would just do so much for him. So like. In that whole feud, and just you thinking that he actually has a chance of winning. And also just really quickly, because because this falls under a surprise also.
Yeah.
Do you have any prediction also for the mystery, the TBA for the Casino Battle Royal?
I really don't think it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be anybody that's like, oh my gosh. Like, I think it could just be some guy that we haven't seen in a while, or somebody that's like a star in dark that just gets a shot. I don't think it's going to be anything that's like Andrade or anything like that. Because if it was, I feel like that there would be more focus on it, and they really haven't. It's kind of there.
I'm gonna go with someone that we haven't seen in a while that I feel like would be an interesting to see if he can cut it in AEW or not. I'll go with Joe Henning.
Okay. That's an interesting one.
It's kind of random, but it's like we hadn't seen him in a while. Like he's second generation. Yes, second generation. You never got to see him at his full potential in the WWE. Like maybe
it's someone like Rick Swann who wants another title shot at Kenny or something like that. Like I think that would be cool.
That would be cool if they could. And one that I really don't want to see, but would make sense because the story would be Sami Callihan for the same reasons.
All right. Well, that wraps up the stream. Everyone have a good day. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to see Sami at all. But I do like the idea of Impact making some type of presence. I think that would be cool.
For sure.
So my surprise... God, I don't know, but I'm a little worried that Orange Cassidy could win. I think it's dumb, but I'm a little worried that it could happen for whatever reason. I don't think it's the right move, but that could be something that I think would be a really bad idea. But I'm a little nervous going into that main event. I think that I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if like a surprise, it's kind of unpredictable. Is Orange possibly winning?
It's like Orange Cassidy wins, and like the crowd's actually like really into it, and it's well done, and like everyone's like, "Wow, I can't believe this is great!" And then like an explosion of orange soda is supposed to go off, and like it totally fizzles out or something, and they just ruin that.
Oh god! My god! That's terrible! Like no.
I mean, that's like what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm waiting for at this point. Is like they're just gonna kill it. Like this show's gonna be incredible from start to finish, and then like they're gonna be like 10 seconds from going off air, and then just something stupid will happen. Like
it's supposed to be like orange soda and it's grape. Like oops. Oh, like, oh god. Yeah. So like something like that. Maybe Moxley and Kingston actually winning the titles. Because, they're coming out to Wild thing and stuff. So, like, maybe they kind of get the push and be champs. I don't know. But those are probably two that I would think of. One, just throwing it out there. Call me crazy. You can dream. I can dream. I would love to see Tessa Blanchard be the female debut of the Pinnacle and Cossie Inner Circle the match. I think that would be fantastic. So,
that I feel like we got a better chance of seeing Daniel Bryan, to be honest.
I think so too. But I'm just throwing it out there. Fantasy booking here.
There you go.
But overall, this sounds like a great show. Like I said, the return of the crowd cannot be underestimated. How big this is going to be, how much it's going to motivate the performers, how much it's going to give such like positive energy. And I think it's going to be really cool because also we've been watching these characters being developed with a little bit of crowd and almost the same crowd. And I feel like a lot of people are traveling to see this show, and it's going to be a different crowd. And we're going to kind of see who's really over, who's not. And it's just like almost a reintroduction to where we were when we left off. So I'm really looking forward to the show. I think it's going to be really good. And honestly, if you haven't watched AEW before, AEW pay-per-views are can't miss, in my opinion. Yes, they've had some weird botches, but overall, they're definitely worth watching. They're only for a year. So when it happens, you definitely need to tune in.
Couldn't agree more. I'm spreading the word. I've got friends coming over, like I said, that don't even really watch wrestling anymore, but I hyped this up enough that they're interested in coming over. So looking forward to kicking it with some of my buddies and watching some wrestling. And these are can't miss shows. If you're a wrestling fan and you're not watching AEW Dynamite, I say Dynamite, you should watch Dynamite as well. But if you're not watching AEW pay-per-views at the very least, I think you're just really, really missing out as a wrestling fan. So,
absolutely. So we gave our predictions, our preview of the card. What's your predictions? Leave comments down below. If you like this content, be sure to like the video. If you've never heard of us, subscribe. We do live chats every Tuesday called Live Rounds. Steven is in full Orange Cassidy mode right now. So give this video a like and check out the channel for other content. We cover pro wrestling and MMA and have real conversations about both topics. So appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time. Order the pay-per-view.